What is going on, everybody? What's up? And welcome to another episode of Friends of Five, brought to you by 5 Reasons Sports Network. As always, make sure you follow us on Twitter. Make sure you follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to the page so you can see all the free shows that we have. Go on to the website, all the free articles. Our guest today has a really good article up there. But before we get into that, make sure you help support us by following our sponsors. And our sponsor is Manscaped, right? Because we all want to look good. You know, it's not just about the facial hair. It's about the other hair, right? So get that Lawnmower 3.0. Make sure you're all clean and shaven down there. That way, you're feeling good, man. You can start hitting these 40-yard dashes. You want to cut that extra time. You got to trim all those places, right, Brian?
Yeah, totally. I always feel lighter after a good shave. And so I want to introduce David Fernandez. He's a very important part of the 5 Reasons Sports team. He covers the Miami Marlins and the Miami Dolphins. And right now, the Miami Dolphins are pretty hot. And I think that's where we're going to start our show. Tua, he has a great record with a 4-starter. Miami comes off a pretty nice-looking win. James Harden is also a topic for Miami fans. But the Miami Dolphins will play the Chiefs next week coming up. They're hosting the Chiefs. I don't think it's realistic for the Miami Dolphins to win or to expect to win. How many points can the Dolphins score on these Chiefs?
I mean, First of all, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. It's a great show. Friends of Five is a great show. I figured, I had to wear my jersey to rep, Ryan's style.
Yeah.
It's Finkel. We got laces out and all that.
I'm the only one without a Dolphins jersey on. I got the U, though.
There we go.
All right.
But listen, the Dolphins they're in good shape right now. I mean, 8-4 going into a big time game against the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, they just went through kind of the soft part of their schedule, right? And they did pretty well. The offense, there were some questions there. And so your question, how many points can they score against the Chiefs? I think they can get, 24 to 31 points or so.
Okay. All right.
Because I liked a lot of what I saw in the second half with the offense. And if they keep building on that sort of stuff, then they're in business. And, when you think about the Chiefs, you think more about offense than defense. I mean, they have a good defense, but their calling card is offense. But it's going to be a fun matchup because it's kind of strength against strength, right? The Dolphins' strength is the defense. The Chiefs is the offense. So it's going to be a fun one to watch. That's for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm coming into this game and I'm thinking about the quarterback situation, right? I think we can honestly say that right now, Tua's performing pretty well. There's still a lot to be desired, but I don't know if it's really on him, right? Do you think that after what we saw last game, are we going to see Gailey open up the playbook? And do you think that he's had the playbook closed in the beginning?
The answer to both of those questions is yes. He definitely had the playbook closed. One of the things that we heard after the game in Denver a couple weeks ago when Tua was replaced by Fitzpatrick was that, Brian Flores wanted to add a spark, right? He wanted to inject some life into that offense, which against Denver was terrible. And they felt going to Fitzpatrick was the key. And the big difference between Fitzpatrick and Tua this season from a play calling perspective, from like a game plan perspective, has been the up-tempo stuff. They were way more up-tempo with Fitzpatrick, way more no huddle with Fitzpatrick. And what we saw last Sunday was the first time where they really kind of opened it up for Tua. Prior to Sunday's game, the 3 yards per carry host Chris Kaufman, part of the 5 Reasons Sports Network, he mentioned on his Twitter and on their podcast that they had only gone no huddle with Tua 5 times all season long. And then on Sunday in the second half, they went no huddle 15 times. And we really saw them move the ball in the second half and a little bit in the second quarter too. We saw the offense get rolling. And when you look at it, that's where Tua's strength is, right? He was an up-tempo guy at Alabama. He was an RPO guy at Alabama. He was throwing the ball downfield. I mean, just imagine how different Sunday is if Jakeem Grant makes that catch on that bomb.
Definitely, man. It's common with him.
Yeah, so when you think about it, Gailey was definitely holding him back. It wasn't the same sort of thing. I mean, did Tua make some mistakes? Yeah. Was he making? There were some misreads in there, but when they went up tempo, he responded, right? I mean, the offense gained almost 300 yards in the second half alone. Tua put up career highs in completions and passing yards on Sunday. So I think they have some stuff to build on going into the game against the Chiefs.
Nice. Yeah. So Chiefs, Pats, Raiders, and then Bills. So, I mean, there's some winnable games there. I think the Chiefs might be the hardest.
Yeah.
And then the Raiders, though, the Raiders beat the Chiefs and the Saints. So those are like some of the best teams in the league. So realistically, at 8-4, what do you think? How do you think they finish? What do you think their final record is?
So if they're going to make the playoffs, they probably have to go 10-6. They probably have to split these last two games.
Yeah.
If you look at the Kansas City game, most of us are chalking that up as an L, right? Because the Chiefs are 10-1, defending Super Bowl champs, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, we know the whole story.
Right.
But think about it. We felt that way, when the Dolphins went out west to play the 49ers at the beginning of the year. Most of us chalked it up as an L. We didn't think that they were going to hang with the Seahawks as closely as they did down here. So,
Cardinals.
Right, and the Rams, the Cardinals on the road. Yeah. So the Dolphins, they play up to their competition. I mean, they tend to play down as well, which is kind of a problem, right? Yeah, they do. They really do. So, would it shock me if they beat Kansas City? Maybe not. I mean, it's unlikely. But the must wins on the schedule coming up are the Raiders and the Patriots. They have to win both of those games in order to get into the playoffs. I mean, the Raiders game might very well be a play-in game at that point, and the Patriots are coming on strong. They just blew out the Chargers on Sunday. And if we can get lucky and see a Buffalo loss, an unexpected Buffalo loss along the way, maybe that last game is actually for, the division title. But they have to finish 10-6. They have to split these last two in order to get into the playoffs. If they go 11-5, I mean, they're 4. But 10-6 at the very, very least.
Gotcha.
What are you thinking? All right, I want to go to the future a little bit. This offseason, we need to address this offense, right? And I'm saying running back is a must, right? Like, we're not going to be trying this thing anymore. Jordan Howard, complete bust.
Breeda's a bust. I mean, they've been bust.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Myles Gaskins, I love him. He's, it's a cute player and everything.
Cute.
But he's a backup.
We're gonna definitely get somebody in the first, second round for sure.
Yeah, right. So, what do you think in this offseason? Do you think they're done with the experiment with running back? You think it's, hey, let's go get a good running back finally, or you think they're gonna try it again?
I hope so. I mean, listen, the weird thing about what they did this year with the offseason was the running backs kind of were mismatched, right? So, Jordan Howard is a power guy, and Matt Breida is kind of a scat back, a third down back, things like that. So, I feel like they have to bring in a frontline guy, maybe somebody like Najee Harris, right? Somebody like Travis Etienne. Although Travis Etienne kind of looks like Myles Gaskin and kind of looks like Matt Breida. He's probably a little bit better than them. But I definitely think they have to, address this running back position because you can't leave it all on Tua. And again, the RPO is kind of his bread and butter, right? So you have to have a run threat. If they can't run the ball, I mean, Gaskin was pretty good on Sunday. He gained 90 yards, I think, on the ground, 4.3 yards per carry. So okay, right? But they need a frontline running back there, and then they probably need another receiver too. For as nice a
at
story,
a minimum, one more receiver,
yeah,
right? Like, because we finally need something. I think it's so simple. Everybody's just like, all right, we just got to cover Parker. That's it,
right? And you saw, I mean,
Jakeem is a threat from short, but he's not really like a deep threat. You saw him last time. He has buttery hands. Jakeem's skill set is in his legs. Mm-hmm. So it's just there's a lot.
He's a change of pace kind of wide receiver, right? I mean, you saw the end around the jet sweep. That might have been a shovel pass, but and then every now and then he'll break one. And obviously his value is really with special teams. But they need a receiver like that. They need a receiver, though, with great hands that can create separation. Because Parker is a big receiver, right? He's a big target. Preston Williams is very similar in body type and play type. So they need another type of receiver. They thought maybe Antonio Callaway was that, but he doesn't look like he's going to be that. Malcolm Perry's like a gadget guy. Lynn Bowden Jr. is another gadget guy, right? These are all, none of those guys are going to be frontline receivers. So, if you think about what the Dolphins have going into the draft next year, 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, they need to spend some of that draft capital on getting Tua some weapons because, he doesn't have offensive weapons right now. I mean, Parker is a good wide receiver. Gesicki is turning into a really good tight end, and you're glad at the chemistry that they showed on Sunday. Gesicki had 9 catches, which tied a team record for tight end receptions. So you hope to see more of that, right? But he definitely needs a receiver and a running back, and and then they can do whatever else they want with the rest of that stuff.
Yeah, man, that offseason is gonna be huge. They'll probably add some veterans, free agency, or maybe even like how they got Matt Breida, maybe trade a second-round pick for a quality running back.
But that's the thing. We don't need more quality running backs. Like, we just need that's it. The experiment's over. In my mind, the experiment's over with that, man. Like, how many times are we going to keep giving second rounds for guys
you
that
could hit, man, because if maybe like Todd Gurley would have started with the Dolphins this year, it would have been a different way to start the year. You can use those former high-end running backs that are declining at the cheap. But let's move on. Like you mentioned, Gesicki's been pretty nice. He's kind of looking like what we expected him to be, and we haven't seen that all year. I feel like he's going to be more implemented into the offense now with Preston Williams. I don't know when he's ever coming back. So can they beat the Pats? Can they beat the Pats? Because now you've seen what Bill Belichick did to Josh Herbert, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
So you saw what he did. So you could stop the rookie. You could stop the rookie quarterback there. So now I feel like the Patriots have our number. So you got to beat the Raiders and Bills. I don't know, man. What do you think about the Patriots in the following week?
I think they could beat the Patriots. That first game of the year, you got to remember that's the first time those guys had played in months. There was no preseason, so they were just kind of thrown into the fire against Bill Belichick, who obviously is a great coach, a great game planner, and all that. And the Dolphins have historically had trouble with kind of the mobile quarterback. So Cam Newton presents some challenges, but this is a different defense than what we saw in week 1. And that even though that Patriots team is coming on, Newton isn't playing all that well. I mean, we're actually getting back Isaiah Ford. We traded Isaiah Ford to the Patriots for a 6th-round pick, and they're signing him back. The Patriots cut him. He didn't do anything up there. They're signing him to the practice squad, so maybe we're getting some intel, some insight on the Patriots.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, but I do think they could beat the Patriots, and that game is down here too. So.
Yeah, I feel like the Raiders and the Bills game are the most winnable for us just because, man, Belichick kind of has our number. So I'm trying to stay optimistic, but the playoffs, I mean, that would be great. And then they wind up getting on the first round, but that would be great for Tua's maturation. But it's all about next year, right? This is just a fun year just to see, where we go, and we have no real expectations.
I mean, we don't have expectations for the Super Bowl, no, but I think the expectations have changed kind of along the way, right? When we saw this great run by this group, they accelerated the timeline of the rebuild a little bit, maybe. Nobody really they probably expected to compete for a playoff spot, but I mean, the way they're playing, this is a playoff defense, this is a playoff special teams. It's just a matter of can the offense catch up to those other 2 units, and if they can probably beat anybody, I feel like.
But isn't this also like a year where a team that has an average offense could probably make a deep run into the playoffs? I mean, it's a COVID year, man. I mean, you get one of those teams that has, just a center that gets COVID and you end up going against them, and that might be all it takes, to make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so much is up in the air from week to week, right? And players have to sit out. They end up on the COVID list. I mean, the league is rescheduling games. The Baltimore game was supposed to be played on 5 different days or something.
Yeah. That's another team, and that's another team, the Steelers. I don't think they would have the same record if this wasn't a COVID year. I honestly don't. They're not that great of an offensive team, and And I don't know. I don't think they would be this good. I don't think they would have 11-1 record.
I'm with you. Listen, when you look at the AFC, like the bracket, the team that worries you is the Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
Because I think the Dolphins match up okay with the Steelers, and Big Ben isn't a mobile quarterback, so the defense can get after him. Buffalo is Buffalo, right? And then everybody else is just as beatable. If the offense
Raiders, Browns, Colts, Titans.
Yeah, if the offense catches up to this defense, look out, because this team is coming on at the right time.
Without a running back.
Without a running back, right?
But Myles Gaskin deserves respect, so
he does. And look, man, he's great. Like for a non-drafted, because he was not drafted, right? I believe
he was a 7th round pick. He was like the last.
Well, for a 7th round pick, I mean that's what you can get from him. You're getting more than you should, and like great respect to the guy. I think offseason, there's 3 things we need for sure for offense, and that's a running back, like a true number 1 running back, not a guy who's going to compete for that number 1 spot. No, we're getting either through trade or through draft that we're like, you have to be the number 1. Yeah, you have to earn it, but we're expecting you to earn it. And a center, because what's his name, Karras, right?
Ted Karras, yeah.
I mean, he's okay, but he leaves a lot to be desired, especially for the run game, right? Because the running on the outside is what works most of the time, and there's a reason for that. Yeah. And that's because you're
that's what worked on Sunday.
Yeah. And then the last thing I would say is a receiver. Either receiver first or the running back first, but one of those have to be addressed,
Yeah, it all depends on where that Houston Texans pick lands, right? It's probably looking like closer towards like the middle of the first round at this point.
I have a question for you, David. Xavien Howard could be a defensive player of the year. Probably won't be.
Absolutely.
But what do you think Miami does with him? Do you think they give him an extension or they trade him for some more picks?
I don't think you trade this man. The talk that came up during the year of him, potentially being on the trading block or whatever,
right.
It's ridiculous. That you do not trade a talent like Xavien Howard. I mean, they brought in Byron Jones. They gave Byron Jones a huge amount of money. Yeah. And listen, between the two of them, they have absolutely locked down opposing passing games, right? And I don't think Howard has as many interceptions as he has this year without Byron Jones on the other side.
No, definitely not. He can take more risks. He can take more risks.
Exactly. So, no, I don't think that they trade him. I mean, even if Noah Igbenogany turns out to be like a great cornerback, then you have 3, right? And he can play the slot or whatever, even though Nick Needham has played really well too. I don't think you trade a talent like Xavien Howard. And listen, if he can pick off Patrick Mahomes once or maybe even twice, I mean, just give him Defensive Player of the Year already. Like, don't even worry about the rest of the year. Gilmore got it last year, and he got smoked at the end of the year by Devontae Parker, if you remember that. And, I mean, Howard is playing just as good, if not better.
I will say Chris Greer has a thing for selling high. So if the right offer comes, and NFL teams, you don't know where everybody's head is at. Look what we got for Laramie Tunsil, and look what Arizona got for Hopkins, like you don't know what another team is thinking. So I think if somebody came with like 2 round 1 picks or even 3, I think
not 3. Somebody could offer 2, but we're learning though that puts your team in such a hole. Like Jamal Adams got traded, I think, for 2 first-rounders. He went to Seattle, and he hasn't really made a difference on the defense.
I mean, look at Houston. Houston is probably kicking themselves in, for making that trade right now because they don't have.
We love Houston.
Hey, so who do you like in the NFC? I'll give you the teams on top. Seahawks, who I like. The Packers, Saints, Bucks, Rams. Any of those teams scare you? Saints, Packers, Rams, Seahawks.
Probably the Packers. I mean, they have Aaron Rodgers. The defense is okay. Devontae Adams has turned into one of, if not the best receiver in the league. Yeah.
I feel like the Packers are the opposite of the Dolphins, right? Like they're they're like elite at offense and they're okay defensively, but it's enough to get them, winning. Yeah. And then the Dolphins are just elite at defense and we're okay at offense.
Yeah. No, I think that's probably the perfect way to put it. I don't think the Seahawks have enough defense to get to where they want to get to, but
I don't know, man. I like that offense though, man. DK Metcalf.
Yeah, no, he's a monster.
I drafted him in fantasy in all four of my leagues this year, and I'm watching him just do amazing things, man.
All in on DK Metcalf. That's pretty
I
good.
went all in on him. I see, and I hit on him, but I only made the playoffs in one league out of four. So,
bummer.
Let me ask you, since we're talking about these NFC teams, do you think the Vikings or the Cowboys would move off of their star running backs this offseason? Because they're in a rebuild mode.
Yeah.
Do you think that would happen? And do you think the Dolphins would actually make a serious inquiry?
You said Cowboys on the
Yeah, the Cowboys suck, dude.
Yeah,
man, with Prescott, they're gonna be good.
No, dude, their defense is horrible. Their problem isn't the offense. Their problem
is
bad because Prescott's not there, but their defense has been so bad this year.
Yeah, listen. If they're rebuilding, I would see Ezekiel Elliott becoming available, right? They would probably. I mean, we said it a second ago. You sell high on stuff like that, right? But I don't think Minnesota would trade Dalvin Cook. I mean, he's young. He's an incredible player. I don't think Cook would be available, but I wouldn't be surprised if they moved Ezekiel Elliott.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
David, do you think that the Jets, how they all, they engaged 8, do you think that was planned, like a sabotage?
Oh man,
are the Jets tanking?
I mean, if they're not tanking, that just speaks to how bad.
Of course they're tanking. Who the hell is on a 4th and what was it? 4th and 5th.
All right, it's either that they're tanking, which is probably true, right? Or the defensive coordinator, Greg Williams, was like, I need to get out of here. What is the worst play call that I can make?
He's like, I can't believe you haven't fired me yet.
No, I think they fired him. I think they fired him.
I'm saying before that, he was like, man, they haven't fired me yet. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Right. So it's got to be that, right? It's got to be that. He had to want to get out of there. It was funny because it was all lining up. All of that stuff would have helped the Dolphins, right? The Jets would have beaten the Raiders. That would have helped it for the playoff push. I mean, it would have been so good for the Dolphins had some of those other games on Sunday gone a different way. But, man, Jets, they got to be tanking or Greg Williams was like, forget it. Get me out of here.
All right. So without your Dolphins hat on, who do you think is going to be a better QB, Herbert or Tua?
Man, that's a tough one. I mean, if you look at the two of them, Herbert is like the traditional, like the prototypical quarterback in terms of size and arm strength and all of that. And he's putting up amazing numbers, right? I mean, he's got some great receivers and he's putting up some amazing numbers, but there's just something about Tua that you saw at Alabama. There's just like another level to his game that Herbert never got to in Oregon, and again, if you look at the first few starts that they've had. I mean, I know Herbert's been starting for longer, but he's only won 3 games out of like the 10 or 11 that he started. And Tua's 4-1 as a starter. I know that we're talking about how it's the defense and the special teams and stuff, but he also hasn't turned the ball over very much. I mean, he had the 1 fumble against Aaron Donald, but beyond that, I mean, Ted Karras gave him the 1 bad snap. I mean, I know he's thrown some bad passes. He had an interception called back, because of a penalty on Sunday. Yeah. And it happened before too.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Listen, if Tua, I think Tua has the higher ceiling. I think Herbert has the lower floor or the higher floor, if that makes sense.
Okay. They can both be good.
No, they can both be good, of course.
They're completely different.
Yeah, stylistically, they're completely different, completely different players. I just think like Herbert's probably the guy that you're going to want for fantasy purposes because I think he's going to put up the numbers consistently.
Yeah.
But I just think that there's another level to his game. We haven't seen it yet, but it was there in Alabama, and hopefully it gets there for the Dolphins.
Yeah. I don't think we have a real evaluation of what Tua can do yet. I hope it's not. I hope we don't have to wait a whole year to see it.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're going to get a pretty good idea here in the last month of the year, right? Because, I mean, this was a pretty soft stretch of the schedule that he just went through. Now it's all very important, games that they need.
My worry isn't who we're playing, though, or that we need to put up numbers. My worry is just the play calling. right? It's just going to be like one of those things where we get the lead and it's like run. And then like, hey, look, we're 3rd and 14. Can you please make your throw? And because we need the first down and you made the wrong read. And it's like, okay, great. Like, we're going to judge them on that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you. It comes down a lot to play calling. But again, that's why Sunday, the second half, makes you feel a little bit better as a Dolphins fan because they did kind of open it up a little bit.
That's funny. Like, so Tua's comp, like in best case situation, would be like a Russ Wilson, and they're kind of friends. Do you think? Well, this is just a speculation, but do you think they would ever train with each other? Because that would be amazing.
I mean, that would be pretty good, and I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sure that all those elite guys try to get together at some point to work out. I mean, you see it in basketball all the time, right?
Yeah.
Where the elite players are working out and training together and things like that. So, I just don't know how effective it is for, I guess, same positions to be like going through drills and stuff together. I guess football and basketball are kind of different in that way. Maybe, I don't know.
No, but I think we've seen it before. I think wasn't Russell Wilson training with
Kyler?
No, who's this guy who was with the Steelers? Their number 1 receiver for the longest time. I forgot his name.
Oh,
Antonio Brown.
And
yeah,
Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown. Whatever. I think it happens. I mean,
yeah. No,
Antonio Brown's training with everybody.
Listen, if you want Tua picking anybody's brain, it's definitely a guy like Russ Wilson, right? A guy who's won, a guy who has a very similar body type.
We need to set that up. Who do we call in? How are we gonna get this on ice?
Let's call
Sierra.
Yeah, Sierra. That's probably call number 1.
I feel like she's in charge. So.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Do we know if Tua has a girlfriend or anything?
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. It was a little weird that he wanted to stay in Alabama for such a long time after we drafted him. He was there for like 3 months after we drafted him.
Yeah, there might be something back there that he.
Yeah, man.
That he
left. Compare Miami girls to Alabama girls. I'm like, I don't know, man.
I don't know. Yeah.
Like, talk to Tyler Hero. He knows.
He knows.
David, what would it take for you to take down that Dan Marino jersey and replace it with a Tua jersey, an autograph one?
I mean,
what would it take?
Marino got to the Super Bowl once, so I'd like to see Tua get there at least once, and maybe put up some. But I got room on this wall for another jersey. I don't have to take down.
I'm just curious because he obviously Dan Marino is the best quarterback of all time for the Dolphins, but he hasn't really done much in the postseason. He's been close. He's gotten there once. He's been close before that. So I feel like if just one, all it takes is one Super Bowl win for Tua to kind of unseat Marino.
Yeah, well, we saw that with D Wade, right? I mean, everybody always said that Marino was the best
in the city
athlete down here, and then the minute Dwayne Wade, won those championships, he kind of leapfrogged Marino, right? So Marino's number 2 at the moment.
Right.
If Tua can win, he's gonna get up over Marino. If he wins and he stays, and he puts up numbers and things like that, he'll probably be considered better than Marino. But I mean, Marino had the one Super Bowl when he was his second or third year. I think
second year. I think
1985.
Yeah.
Those teams in the 90s should have been in the Super Bowls. I mean, there were some collapses against the Bills in the 90s that hurt. Yeah, and he never had a running game. He never had a defense, and they were still relevant. Every year in and year out. So if Tua can do that and win one, then he would get up over Marino. And then he's got to do like Ace Ventura. He's got to do like.
Can you imagine? That is very realistic. I could Jim Carrey's the type of guy that he would do a second or third if he. I mean, he did a second.
He did. But I think that's gotta be on the table. Got to be on the table.
All right, we got to hit up Jim Carrey and Sierra before.
That's right.
But how do we talk to Jim Carrey?
The power of Twitter. A lot of retweets.
Is he on Twitter? I don't know if Jim Carrey's on Twitter. Is he?
I don't know, but he might be tough to find. Isn't he one of those guys that's a little out there?
He is a little out there. I've heard he has I heard he's really out there actually. I read something interesting about Jim Carrey a long time ago that he used to write like letters to Tupac when he was in jail and everything, and they were like pen pals.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know how factual it is. I read it a bunch of times.
Like at the bottom of a website.
No, it didn't say sponsored, or anything like that. Oh man, but you want to close it out, Ryan? What do you got? You got a last question or anything?
Yeah. Last question. Hi, David.
Hi.
Who, if if there could be any one person that the Dolphins get going into next season that's realistic, who would that one person be?
I mean, if that's currently in the NFL?
Yeah. Either an NFL or going to be a rookie. If any one specific person you want on that team that's realistic.
I mean, I guess I'll go with the rookies because it's probably a little bit more realistic to draft. I mean, Jalen Waddle would be a lot of fun to see him in a Dolphins uniform. Najee Harris would probably be the other one that I'd like to see.
I'd take both. I would love if we can figure out a way to get.
Oh my God! If they landed both of them, forget it. I mean, they don't even have to draft anybody else.
I like it.
I would love to give Tua some familiarity, with some people he knows. That would be awesome, man.
I think so too. Like you think about like COVID and not having a preseason and like trying to get people up to speed as quickly as possible. You definitely want to lean on guys that you're familiar with for sure.
Cool.
Yeah. And it was a shortened season for college. So if you think about it, these, first string, players in college, they don't have the same wear and tear that, your traditional first string, players get, We've seen a lot of people that draft, the backup running backs out of Alabama and stuff like that because they have less wear and they're usually very good still. So this could be a year, that I'm hoping.
No, he's going to load up.
And listen, as you said, with the fewer games this year, there's going to be less tape on guys. So, there's going to be a lot more misses in the draft. If the Dolphins can grab a guy that maybe is sliding down the board or something like that, I mean, they have a chance to really take a big step forward next year.
I like it. Well, thank you, Mr. David. Your optimism is on fire. I like how you said we're going 10-4. That was pretty cool. Or 10-6. You did say 10-6. That's pretty cool. And now we're prepared for the draft, so we know who we want. So I feel like this is a success of a show. We'll love to have you back again to talk Marlins at some point.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
Let's wait for the GM of the Marlins to actually do something that we can get excited about, and then
it's coming. It's coming.
Not resigns. I don't get it.
It's coming. They've done a few things here and there, but I think the big moves they're coming. It'll probably be a trade more like than instead of a free agent signing. I feel like
I'm okay with that.
All right, let's see if we can also lower the prices of the parking garage because
that also would be nice. Yeah,
that's too expensive. When you compare that to the tickets that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
at all.
I park on the side in front of someone's house.
For real?
Mm-hmm.
Like the old Orange Bowl day.
Yeah, those neighborhoods.
Yeah.
I just kind of niche myself in.
Yeah, and there's always like an old lady. She's like, come.
Not even. No, you don't go near those people because then they know you're unattending your car.
No, back in the day,
you think that nobody's gonna sit there out with your car the whole time?
I wouldn't trust a lady around my car.
I mean, that might not be the best neighborhood to walk away from your car then.
Yeah, no, I leave it right in front of the houses that are next to the Marlins park.
Well,
yeah, back when it was the Orange Bowl, you had to pay extra when you parked in somebody's front yard so they don't block you. So if you left early, you could just go.
Yeah, man, those days were fun.
Yeah, they were.
All righty, man. Well, thank you, David, for being on here with us, and everybody who's watching, thanks for being on with us. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Lazarus Sport. That's for Ryan, me for at Simba Sports, and David at by DL Fernandez. He's got good stuff. He just wrote an article, right? I heard it's really good. Make sure you take a peek at it, and make sure you follow Friends of Five Reasons Sports, and subscribe to the page. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.